Hi, thanks for joining me. My name is Mindy Mandell. Well, one of the early dialogues in the Platonic canon is called the Greater Hippias. It's also known by some translators as Hippias Major. This is a short dialogue, and there's actually some controversy as to whether or not it was even written by Plato. I'm going to leave that debate to academics. What is clear from reading this dialogue is that if it was written by one of Plato's followers, it was someone who understood his philosophy well. And also, this writer, whether it was Plato or someone else, honored the wit and the charm of Socrates. And that makes this an enjoyable dialogue to read. And this no doubt helps explain the dialogue's enduring popularity. But don't be fooled, though, by the brevity and playfulness of the text. The theme being discussed is one that is at the core of Platonic philosophy. What is the beautiful, or what we sometimes call beauty itself? Socrates' interlocutor in this dialogue is the famed sophist Hippias. He brags about how much money he has made traveling from town to town as a teacher, and also of the social status that he enjoys because of this reputation that he has gained. And by Zeus, Socrates, I have just lately gained reputation there in Lacedaemon, by telling about noble and beautiful pursuits, recounting what those of a young man should be. And the plan of the discourse and its beginning is something like this. After the fall of Troy, the story goes that Neoptolemus asked Nestor what the noble and beautiful pursuits were, by following which a young man would become most famous. Well, those of you who have read The Republic might recognize the phrase beautiful pursuits from 444e. After outlining the virtues in Book 4, Plato ends that leg of the discussion by stressing their importance. Virtue, then, as it seems, would be a kind of health and beauty and good condition of the soul, and vice would be disease, ugliness, and weakness. It is so. Then is it not also true that beautiful and honorable pursuits tend to the winning of virtue, and the ugly to vice? Of necessity, Glaucon replies. Well, in the Greek, this is the same phrase used by Hippias in his own speech. Only clearly he and Socrates have very different ideas as to what kinds of pursuits are beautiful. Hippias is focused on fame and wealth and social status, but Socrates, on the other hand, more highly values the health of the soul. To pursue his questioning of Hippias, then, he picks up on the word beautiful. Give me a brief answer to a question about your discourse, for you reminded me of the beautiful just at the right moment. For recently, my most excellent friend, as I was finding fault with some things in certain speeches as ugly, and praising other things as beautiful, a man threw me into confusion by questioning me very insolently, somewhat after this fashion. How, if you please, do you know, Socrates, he said, what sort of things are beautiful and ugly? For come now, could you tell me what the beautiful is? Well, this launches them into an exploration. After discussing various things that are beautiful, Socrates introduces him to the notion of eidos, or things in themselves. By wisdom the wise are wise, and by the good all things are good, are they not? Of course. And justice, wisdom, and so forth are something. For the just and the wise and so forth would not be such by them if they were not something. To be sure, they are something, Hippias says. We tend to think of justice, wisdom, and so forth as mere concepts. However, Socrates is making the case that they are something. They have an actual reality. They exert a power. It is by justice that just things are just, by wisdom that wise people are wise. Now, this flies in the face of modern thinking that treats justice and wisdom as concepts, and therefore they are relative to the definitions given to them by any given society at any given time. If justice and wisdom have an actual reality, though, then they are absolute. They are independent of anybody's opinions and conceptions of them. Well, this sets Socrates up to introduce the beautiful as another absolute reality. Then are not all beautiful things beautiful by the beautiful? Yes, by the beautiful. By the beautiful, which is something? Yes, for what alternative is there? Tell me this then, stranger, he will say. What is this, the beautiful? Well, Socrates is still referring here to the man who questions him. But Hippias does not understand the question. Well, Socrates, does he who asks this question want to find out anything else than what is beautiful? Oh, I do not think that is what he wants to find out, but what the beautiful is. And what difference is there between the two? Well, the difference between the two is, of course, quite great. Things in themselves are absolute. They are unchanging and they are eternal. In our physical world, though, things come into and go out of existence, and all is relative to everything else. Not even beauty can be seen in an absolute sense in the physical world. I understand, Hippias, that the proper reply to him who asks these questions is this. Sir, you are not aware that the saying of Heraclitus is good, that the most beautiful of monkeys is ugly compared with the race of man. So Hippias cites as absolute beauty the beauty of beautiful maidens. But Socrates recognized the flaw in this argument. Shall we agree, Hippias, that the most beautiful maiden is ugly if compared with the gods? On one level, this argument is foolish. In fact, Hippias's arguments throughout this dialogue are so weak that citing them gives credence to those who argue that this dialogue is spurious. Socrates' interlocutors in other dialogues show greater intelligence, even though their positions are ultimately the weaker ones. Hippias's answers are so weak that I think even a person who rejects the existence of things in themselves can easily argue him down. However, there is another level at which this exchange is making a point worth noting. The gods are eternal and unchanging. Their realm is beyond the physical realm. It is therefore more venerable, we would say, and so it is more beautiful. It is beautiful in a way that is absolute and eternal. A beautiful maiden, on the other hand, has a physical body that is susceptible to illness and to aging. It will always change until ultimately that body deteriorates. It is for this reason that Socrates can state that the gods are more beautiful than even the most beautiful maiden. There is a metaphysical basis to this statement. It is not mere opinion. Okay, Now I am going to turn to another definition of the beautiful that Hippias gives. This one also is incredibly foolish on the surface, but again, there is a deeper significance behind its inclusion in the dialogue. He says that the beautiful is nothing else but gold. Wherever this is added, even what before appears ugly will appear beautiful when adorned with gold. Well, what is significant here? I would argue that it is this: the beauty that the beautiful itself gives to its participants is not some addition to them. The beauty in people, in mountain ranges, and wherever else we see it, is inherent in all that exists in the physical realm. Hippias, however, is treating beauty as though it were an adornment after the fact, something added to a thing, rather than inherent in its very existence. Okay, another definition offered by Hippias is this: I say then that for every man and everywhere it is most beautiful to be rich and healthy, and honored by the Greeks, to reach old age, and after providing a beautiful funeral for his deceased parents, to be beautifully and splendidly buried by his own offspring. Well, this is obviously a conventional notion of the so-called good life. And while it certainly does sound pleasant, I think we can all think of people with health and social status who are not actually happy. But more central to this discussion, however, is that this is not a definition of the beautiful. So why is it here? I would suggest that it's here precisely because it is conventional. It applies only to humans. It does not fit animals, and it certainly does not fit the immortal gods. Yet beauty is more fully a property of the gods than it is of humans. It is most fully a property of the gods. And so our search for the beautiful must stretch beyond the social realm. We must reach beyond the physical and even the psychological into the metaphysical. While considering whether the beautiful might be that which is appropriate to a thing, another definition that was thrown out, they hit on the question of whether the beautiful makes things beautiful or only gives them an appearance of beauty. Let us choose then whether we think that the appropriate is that which makes things appear or actually be beautiful. Well, it's that which makes them appear so, in my opinion, Socrates. Our perception of what the beautiful is has fled away and gone, Hippias, since the appropriate has been found to be something other than the beautiful. And this follows from the insight that beauty is more than an adornment. Beauty, whatever it is inherent in all that participates it. It is more than an appearance. Now, this may require a bit of explaining. The eidos are intellectual realities that have the triadic qualities of existence, vitality, and intellectual activity. They therefore each exert some sort of intellectual power. Things in this realm share in that power to a degree appropriate to them. This realm is not ultimate reality, and so we may sometimes talk of it being an appearance, like a reflection in water. Yet calling this realm an appearance is only a metaphor. That metaphor has its utility and its place, but it would be more accurate at this moment to say that this realm has a mode of reality that is removed from reality itself. This realm is infused with beauty and all of the absolute realities, but it shares in them to a degree appropriate to this realm. And so appropriateness and commensurability do play a role in the unfolding of reality, but the appropriate is not synonymous with the beautiful. Well, another question that is raised is also worth mentioning. It is whether the beautiful is the cause of the good, or if the good is the cause of the beautiful. This issue, like others in this dialogue, is rooted in metaphysics. The first cause of all is often called the good because it is the most venerable. As such, it is the object of desire for all that flows from it. It looks as if the beautiful were a sort of father of the good. Certainly, for what you say is well said, Socrates. Then is this well said too, that the father is not the son, and the son not father? To be sure, it is well said. And neither is the cause that which comes into being, nor is that which comes into being the cause. In other words, all that exists unfolds from the good. The good is the cause from which all that is comes into being, including the beautiful. And so in this short little dialogue, which was probably written by Plato, but perhaps not, we have meandered through realms of reality and puzzles about participation, and our exploration has even taken us all the way up to the first cause of all. Yet still, our question remains. Could you tell me what the beautiful is? Well, I wonder how you would answer that question. What is the beautiful? And what do you think of this dialogue overall? Do you think it was written by Plato? I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments section. And as always, I thank you for watching. Till next time.